On this week's episode of Motivational Minutes, recruitment expert Bert E. Miller shares the common denominators he's found among the most successful leaders. What do you find are some common threads between people who have successfully gotten to where they are in life?
Yeah, well, I'll give you two right off the top here. I mean, when I think about what happened at Bacardi, so you take a look at a spirits company like them that once a pandemic hit, they had a digital strategy that they were working on, Corey, but it was a 3-year digital strategy. They accelerated the pace of that digital strategy. They took people from on-premise because people were not going to restaurants. They're taking their on-premise division, moving them over into e-com. They made rapid moves. This is what agility really is. You sit down and say, how do we continue to hit our numbers? Number one, is everybody safe? Are we communicating well? And then how do we hit our numbers? And that's where they kicked in, and they moved people to different departments and said, hey, I know you don't do this, but this is where you have to grab an oar and help us row. The result of that, number one, is you have a lot of people that were cross-trained in other areas they never had a chance to do before and might even appreciate where they were prior. But the company then accelerated and had the best year they had in 12 years during the pandemic because of the quick movement and the leadership and that agility. The other one was a company, a snack food company that they quickly had to navigate, Corey, around the packages in convenience stores, going from single serve, you buy a single serve, call it Twinkie, buy a single serve Twinkie, going to multi-pack Twinkies because people were bulk buying and staying at home because they were quarantined or they were not going out. And so that changed the product that was being purchased, and they made that quick adjustment. And they too got almost 2 years ahead of the projected sales schedule during that time. So those are two real live examples of CEOs I had on my podcast that had tremendous success because of agility.
That's amazing. Yep. I heard so many of those stories when I guess sort of midway through the pandemic or towards the end when we began to interview a lot of CEOs on this show as well. A lot of those pivots happened, and they happened out of necessity. And one of my favorite was the CEO of Chuck E. Cheese. Had to launch a more adult brand because people were looking to buy online food, but they weren't going to buy like little kitty pizzas. So they launched this whole other brand with a ghost kitchen, and it's a very successful brand. And they also sort of at the same time they set like a precedent for other restaurants, chain restaurants across the country to follow what they've been doing. And now there's this whole other sort of category that they invented. So I think that is a big part of it. But I also love, and I want to make sure we stress another piece of it, which is for people who are in the position as those workers, right, who had to cross-train, the willingness to then go into that and say, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm even maybe a little afraid of this, but I have to do it because it's growth, right? It's like, I think at the end of the day, people who are really successful, one of the big traits I've discovered is the fearlessness when faced with adversity. They say, I don't know how to do this, but yes, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, without question, and that's where growth lives, right? Is in positions where you're uncomfortable, but it also takes, again, that leadership to ensure that you are challenging your folks in a very safe way. They feel safe, but they also know that this is important relative to the overall scope of the work. And the reason they know that is because it's not just about hitting numbers and hitting the quarter or hitting the annual year. It's how it's articulated in terms of continuing our mission. Nothing's going to stand in our way. Here's the barrier. Here's where we have to pivot, make it, call an audible, move here. You're going to play a big role in this. I know you haven't done this, but I know you can do this. And so you're helping people gain a bit of confidence. And if they have that fear, Corey, they know that you have their back and support because you've moved in there and you've told them that, and you're giving people the why versus just go and say, go do this.
Subscribe today for more inspiration on the go.